Hello, fellow small business owners! Lahat tayo, ang goal for our business is growth, yung paglago ng business natin. But growth can be very tricky.
Do it too fast and baka maubos natin lahat ng life savings natin. Do it too slow and we'll probably lose a lot of opportunities along the way. And kami, medyo matagal na namin kinakapa pa rin yan. And along the way, we've learned a lot of lessons. And if you want to learn these tips for sustainable growth, then watch this episode. For those who are new here, Common Room PH is a shared retail and digital space for over 200 Filipino makers and artists. If you're looking for unique locally made products, we have branches in Power Plant Mall, UP Town Center, Alabang Town Center, Ayala Malls, Manila Bay, and the Atrium of Makati.
Okay, this year we're celebrating our 10 years! 10 years of Common Room! 10 years of messy starts, 10 years of pivots, and trying to adjust and just learning and experimenting, and here we are!
Ay, no, paano tayo tumagal?
Hindi ko rin alam paano nga ba tayo tumagal.
And Common Room has 10 years. Pop Junk Love, our first brand, is 18 years. So, papapag-isip ka, paano nga ba tayo tumagal? So, for this episode, instead of looking back, naisip namin to try to trim down that 18 years of experience into 10 tips that we think helped us sustain Common Room and Pop Junk Club.
Yeah, and when we talk about sustaining the business, it's not just about sustainability in the sense of ecological or environmental practices. It's really about building the right momentum and parang making sure that your business will last longer. That's why it's sustainable.
Siyempre gusto natin lahat growth. Lumaki tayo ng lumaki. Sana, hopefully, mag-expand, etc. But not just that kind of growth, but sustained momentum.
Yes.
Kasi, pwedeng you grow too fast and you burn out. And you lose the spark, you lose the joy, and suddenly it feels like it's really just about money. Diba? Parang somewhere along the way, nakakalimutan mo kung bakit mo siya ginagawa. Hopefully, yung sustainability na gusto natin lahat is sustainability that still keeps the joy in the process. Sustainability meaning the business is growing in a way that still feels like us, still feels rooted to our why, and sustainability that is meaningful.
Yes. Parang growth that is purposeful, hindi lang you're growing because lumaki ka or dumami yung branches mo or dumami yung tao mo, pero somewhere, sabi mo kanina, somewhere along the way you lost your why. And if you are also like us, na matagal ka na in the business, you've been joining bazaars, may tinayo kang shops, and you also have like a growing team, maybe umabot ka rin sa point na napapaisip ka, is this the right direction? Is this what we set out to do when we started with our brand? Or minsan you're growing pero feeling mo nagpa-plateau yung business mo or nawalan ka ng spark for your business. Hopefully this episode will help you fine-tune and go back to your why.
So here are our 10 tips for sustainable growth that is hopefully rooted in your why so that our small businesses can move forward with clarity. What is our first tip?
Our first tip is that it's okay if it starts off as a side hustle.
It's okay.
No, kasi I think, di ba, a lot of us when we start our business, parang ang laging goal is, kailangan iwan ko na yung corporate job ko para makapag-focus ako 100% of my time and energy into my side hustle. Actually, okay lang if you can do it side by side. Kasi while you're starting out, habang nagte-test ka pa, inaaral mo pa yung market, inaaral mo pa kung gusto mo talaga yung business na yon. It's okay na you're doing it on the side para hindi ka talaga nape-pressure na kumita siya. And you can just experiment and play.
And I guess yun talaga yung for us, yung reason kung bakit kami tumagal rin. Kasi we really didn't start it as a full-time business. Talagang we did it as a side hustle. And the reason for that is marami pa kaming hindi alam at kailangan matutunan. And alam namin from the very start that the business will not be enough. The side hustle will not be enough to, provide for our family. We were both breadwinners at the time. So, at the very beginning, alam namin, hindi kayang bayaran ng business yung pangangailangan namin. And that is okay. So, in the process na you're juggling both work and your side hustle, at least you have time to learn and know if it's gonna be a sustainable business, know also if it's the business that you want to do. Parang yung things na to, pwede mong ma-assess or ma-reflect kasi you can afford to reflect on it. Kasi hindi niya kailangan kumita now na kasi wala kaming pangkain.
Nawawala yung pressure na it has to work or you have to sell or you have to know what to do agad-agad. So you can still be at that stage na you're experimenting, you're still playing. Okay lang na hindi ka kumita for a weekend bazaar kasi alam mo by the 15th and the 30th meron kang salary na darating, 'di ba? So it gives you that freedom to be more playful and experimental at this stage.
Iba kasi ang mag-business ng takot. Takot ka kasi kailangan mong kumita next week. Kasi wala kayong pang-grocery, wala kayong pangkain. Kailangan mag-enroll ng mga kapatid mo. So, iba yung gumagana sa utak mo. So, ano kailangan ko ilabas para kumita ako? 'Di ba? Instead of not being pressured with that, and just thinking, what is a business that I think I can do for the long run? Ano yung gusto kong gawin? Kahit pumalpak, okay lang? Or anong gusto kong business na weekend bazaar na itry? Kumbaga, parang it opens up more opportunities for you to experiment and learn from the journey and the process because hindi mo kailangan kumita lang. Yes. Of course, gusto natin kumita. Pero kung yun lang yung magiging motivation mo, how would the business grow? Iba yung gumagana sa utak mo kapag nandun ka sa ruta na I want to build a business that means something, a business that is purposeful. Minsan sa simula hindi mo pa alam yun eh. And you will only learn that along the way habang pinaperfect mo yung mga products mo, collections mo, yung business model mo. Mapoperfect mo yun if you allow yourself that time to assess and reflect about it. Ang hinahabol mo is instant money rather than anong klaseng business yung sa tingin ko tatagal dahil ito talaga yung gusto ko and I find fulfillment in this kind of business.
And swerte nga na you also have a fallback eh. 'Di ba? Parang it's a privilege na you can be playful and experimental with your side hustle na hindi mo masyadong iniisip kung may darating na sweldo. Parang ang ganda niyang diba? Ang ganda niyang situation to be in. Kasi there are also a lot of small businesses now na kilala namin na yun talaga yung primary source of income nila and they really have to make it work. So, ang gandang parang it's a really good sweet spot for you if you get to balance having your day job and really focusing on how to grow your business, kahit even if it's just a side hustle for now. Our second lesson is about choosing progress over perfection. Ayan, yung sa mga takot magkamali or naiinis sa sarili nila if they mess up. It's a reminder that it's okay if you're just figuring things out and you learn along the way.
Yes. Kasi nga, 'di ba yung una nating tip is side hustle lang siya, 'di ba? And that's okay. If you do it the side hustle route, ibig sabihin, mas matagal na talaga ang buong journey natin as a creative entrepreneur. Kasi nga, mas matagal yung learning process niya kasi side hustle mo lang siyang ginagawa eh. So, for tip number 2, which is choosing progress over perfection, it helps you save time. You know why? Kasi, yung isang taon mong ino-overthink kung gagawin mo ba siya or hindi, tas nagawa na ng iba, yung oras na yon, sana ginawa mo na lang siya agad and then you perfect it along the way because there will never be a perfect collection. So, talo ka na sa time in terms of side hustling. Kasi dun sa side hustling, you're investing your time to learn, right? So, matagal siya. Hindi siya mabigat sa bulsa in a sense kasi meron kang full-time job. Pero, dito naman, sa tip 2, yung ways para sana makasave tayo sa time. Instead of just overthinking it, just release it. Release it to the world and let the world comment on it and help you perfect that idea so that you can perfect it faster and better because it's collaborative.
I think at the end of the day, parang experience is really your best teacher. You can always listen to podcasts and read about it on books. Diba? Parang there's still something about just trying it out and learning on your own kasi learned experience siya, learned lesson siya na pinagdaanan mo and na-experience mo siya on your own. And mas tatatak sa'yo yung learning kasi nangyari siya sa'yo. Parang kunyari na-trauma ka on a really bad bazaar or a bad pop-up. Dadamdamin mo yun eh. Parang it stays with you and you kinda want to make better the next time because pinagdaanan mo siya. So, I think it's really about pag meron kang hindi magandang experience, it's really giving yourself the grace to be more gracious on yourself when you are making mistakes. Kasi at the end of the day, ang dami mong mababaong learnings doon sa experience na yun. Meron akong nabasang book and the quote says that the right decision is making a decision. Regardless kung anong outcome niya. Just make a choice. Sasali ka or hindi, panindigan mo yung outcome ng decision na yun. At least you made a choice. And making a choice, proactive decision to do something or not do something is in itself a lesson.
Yes. And since ang pinag-usapan nga natin is sustainable growth. Sustained growth. Ibig sabihin, there's movement. There is momentum. So, if you're stuck just overthinking, let's say that's 3 months, 4 months, half a year, 1 year of overthinking something, you're stuck and you're not moving. Instead of just doing it, learning from it, perfecting from it, and relaunching it better. 'Di ba? And doing it better. I think yun yung mga pinagbabayaran mo ng mga kung ano man yung fee to join that or kung ano man yung cost to launch that collection. Pero marami din siyang binabalik sa'yo, which is time to perfect it and data to perfect it and also peace of mind. So you can think of other ideas.
Hindi yung parang it's an open tab in your head. It's just like taking a pram. Lang, parang gagawin mo siya.
Exactly. And there are a lot of ideas in your head. If you are a creative entrepreneur, if you're a side hustle, I'm sure you can relate. Sobrang dami mong ideas dyan. Wala kang time gawin. So, sobrang dami. At lagi mo lang siyang iniisip. At lagi ka lang nag-overthink. What if you do it now? And learn from it. Yun talaga yung pinaka-key namin ni Maan. Nagsimula kami, upcycling accessories.
Yes.
And then, bakit kami merong manika bigla?
Like, a lot of the collections that we have for Pop Junk Love, yung first baby namin na ginagawa namin, upcycling lang talaga siya. We started plushies. A lot of those collections were just things that we were curious about. We didn't know anything about them, but we just tried them. And we learned along the way. And our first prototypes were really like, parang medyo pag nakikita namin, medyo cringe siya. Parang, oh my God, binenta natin siya. But you know, ang dami na niyang makeover and glow-ups because we've been iterating and redesigning them over time. Imagine kung ngayon lang natin siya ni-launch.
Oh my God!
Cringe na siya.
Kung ngayon lang natin siya ni-launch, walang common room.
Yeah, totoo yan.
So, what's our third tip?
Our third tip is handmade is your superpower. In the world of AI and everything that's generated with just a few prompts, handmade is a very big differentiator, especially for small businesses like us.
Yes, especially if our tip 2 is progress over perfection. Bakit superpower ang handmade? Dahil you make your items. You don't
Outlet, output.
You don't need thousands.
Yes.
to create something, to launch a collection, hindi mo kailangan pumondo, 'di ba? It is your superpower because you make your items. So if you do decide to finally do it, to finally launch it, you can do it limited batch. 'Di ba?
Hindi mo kailangan mag-invest ng lahat ng capital mo on a collection na hindi mo alam kung mag-move. You can just create a few and then launch it. Aaralin mo siya kung okay yung movement, and then that's when you reinvest and maybe get more materials, make more designs, make more colorways. Doon mo na siya i-explode.
Grabe tong tip na number 3 na to. Sobrang dami niyang sana ma-appreciate nyo yung pagiging handmaker nyo. Kasi ito talaga yung superpower nyo. Okay? Bakit? So, na-connect na natin siya doon sa tip number 2, diba? So, ilo-launch mo na lang siya. So, makakatipid ka ng time and mas matututunan mo siya. But you don't have to launch recklessly.
Yes.
Because you can do it limited batch. Because you have that superpower. You make your own items. You can just decide, I will just make 2.
Yes.
And launch it, di ba? Pwede yun. And kung nag-flop
Super
siya,
limited edition.
di ba? Exactly. That is your superpower. Another superpower na ina-afford sa'yo na handmade ka is, dahil ikaw gumawa, you have all the content in the world. Behind the scenes, you can show to people from start to finish. Content is gold ngayon, di ba? And authenticity and pagiging totoo ang nagva-viral ngayon, ang nag-work sa social media, di ba? So, you have those content because you made your own items, di ba?
There's a story that people can latch on to your product even before you launch it. Kasi yung process of making mo pa rin, it's already a way for you to connect to your customers and for you to share your ideas. Even before the actual item is finished, meron ka nang pwedeng i-share about your process and the product that you want to make. So, yun, dun pa lang parang ROI ka na dun sa marketing and content mo, diba? If you wanna look at it from that perspective, yes. Why not? Of course, there are a lot of like doll manufacturers na may mga big machines and all. But if you're looking for like handmade, very detail-oriented items, parang that's something that you can't mass produce.
So, every time you feel like ang hirap naman masyado ng ginagawa namin, bakit ba namin to ginagawa? Kaya nyo pa siya ginagawa hanggang ngayon is because yun yung reason na nagsusustain sa business nyo.
Kayo lang yung nakakagawa nun.
Kayo lang yung gumagawa niya. Kayo lang ang hibang.
Totoo yan. Kayo lang ang hibang na gumawa niyan.
Diba? So,
Yeah.
sana ma-embrace nyo yung pagiging maker nyo. And,
Especially in the world of fast everything. Fast fashion, fast whatever, diba? Parang the fact na ikaw lang yung may pasensya na magtahi at mag-stitch or gumawa ng beading na sobrang complicated makes it extra special. Our tip number 4 is learning when to leap, when to pause, and when to pivot. That is still a work in progress for us.
whew, okay, so, di ba, yung tip number 1 natin is about side hustling.
Yes.
Di ba? So, when do you know when it's time to actually take a leap into full-time small business owner life? Okay? So, for us, ito naaral na namin to dahil na-experience na namin to, kaya i-share namin sa inyo. Kapag marami na kayong nami-miss na opportunities dahil meron kayong trabaho. Lagi natin itong sinasabi, Ate Man, ano yung na-miss natin na opportunity? Ano yung email na nakita natin after 4 months?
Okay, so nung bata kami, we've been watching this DIY show, yung parang home makeover edition. Yung parang isang araw lang, isang linggo lang nila i-makeover yung buong bahay, ganyan. Tapos, yung family na gagawa nila ng bagong makeover na house were Scrabble nerds. So, they reached out to us asking for custom Scrabble pillows. For the family. And then we saw the email like 4 weeks after the episode.
And it was our favorite show. Can you believe it?
Yung show na parang, move that bus! Tapos i-reveal nila yung bahay. Yeah. Lagi naman pinapanood yon kasi DIYers, lahat ng mga gagawin sa bahay. Tapos biglang, we missed it. As in, I think I remember the time na Ate Roma was in that room. Binasa niya yung email. Tapos narinig ko siya from the sala. Tapos sumigaw siya, oh my God!
Yun. So anyway, I think that email came to our life to tell us resign.
Siya yung nag-resign.
So, yun siya. So, I guess, dun sa mga nakakaramdam na ng inkling or parang they feel dissatisfied already, they feel like they can do more if they do it full-time. If you already have that feeling and you feel like you're missing a lot of opportunities already because you have a day job and you can't juggle everything, you can't do it all. The sub-tip is... For leaping is... nararamdaman mo na siya, pag-ipunan mo na. Okay, pag-ipunan mo na because eventually you will really take that jump kasi hindi mo masasatisfy yung feeling of wanting it to do full-time. 'Di ba? Mag-ipon ka na and then kung hindi ka pa nagte-take ng leap, gather as much data as you can for your business, try new things hanggang meron ka pang income and then ayun, then when you do decide to take the leap to full-time entrepreneurship, then you have savings on hand, then you have more information about the business, and your business is already sustainable.
Yeah, so it's not just leaping blindly, no? Kasi, syempre, very reckless yun. At the end of the day, that's why it's important for you to try things, like connected to our earlier tip of like progress over perfection because yung mga experiences mo doon inform when you will be ready. Diba? You have to compare, am I earning enough from these bazaars or from these collections? So if yes, side by side mo siya with your salary and then you are more capable to leap without any more safety net of your salary. Kasi kaya mo na siya. You're not leaping na wala kang wings. You're actually like very capable na to fly on your own.
Kailangan yung tanggapin na ang journey ay not perfect. So you will take the leap. And you can climb back up. Ibig sabihin, kaya mong palitan yung decision mo. That is not your end decision. You can go back to work. Because nangyari yan sa amin. So don't feel as if you failed if you go back to work. I took the leap and went back to work. Dahil I took the leap ng low season. Wala pang mga bazaar. So, hindi ako kikita. So, ayun. Breadwinners, kailangan namin kumita. So, ayun. Pero, yun yung isa pa sa sinasabi ko every time may mga taong nagdadalawang isip kung gagawin ba nila yun full-time. If iniisip mo na siya and you feel that itch and kailangan mo na talaga siyang i-scratch, eventually you will do it. And when you do it, it's not the end of the journey. Diba? Meron pang mga other directions na pwede mong gawin. And a U-turn is another direction. Pwede ka pa rin bumalik. And then pwede ka pa rin mag full-time. So, yun yung nangyari sa akin. So, if hindi talaga kaya, it doesn't mean the business will end. It means I just need to earn again, go back in a different way. And then when it is the better time, take a leap again. So, siguro I went back to work around mga 4 months pa, 5 months. And then it's our peak season. Bye, work!
Yeah.
Learn when to take the leap, pause, and pivot. Okay? Yung word na pivot, sobrang importante niya, especially
Pandemic
term.
Pivot.
Sobrang importante siya because tayo, mga small business owners, we're super attached to who we are, what we are, why we are doing it. And sometimes we're so fixated on that image that we've built for our brand that we're inflexible. Diba? Na parang feeling natin na we can't veer away from what we are currently doing Kasi it's not aligned. It's not us. It's not what we do. No. To sustain your growth, to be a sustainable business, you also have to grow and you also have to evolve. And there are moments and phases in your business that calls for you to pivot also. So, to sustain it, para hindi ka naka-plateau or hindi ka parang, what are we doing? Why are we still doing it? Bakit ganito, ganito, ganito? The business model is asking for you to experiment more, to open up your mind to other things that can also help your community. So, during the pandemic, kasi nga pivot, diba? Yun na nga uso nun, diba? That's when we realized that we only had one main source of income, which is our retail spaces. So, is common room just a shared retail space? So, during that time, that's when we realized we are more than just a space. We are more than a physical structure. We are a community of makers. And regardless kung saan mo kami gawin, common room is a shared platform. Whether you do it as a physical store or as a digital space, kung nagkaroon ka ng web shop, or a social media platform where you can see us wherever you are. Yun siya. We are not just the store. And that's what we realized during the pandemic, na hindi kami nakakulong dun sa idea that we are offering shared physical stores to makers. And that's what helped us sustain common room. Because even when the world or the situation told us that you are no longer relevant, sarado lahat ng
Hindi
stores.
naman essential ang mga plushies at ang kandila, di ba?
Exactly. When the world is telling you you are not essential, that your stores are closed and you have no access to any of your products, that's when you find your reasons to keep you going. And to help you with that, you also have to accept that some things in your business can change.
And I think yung tricky part with the idea of growth is that it can be very messy because parang if you, as a plantita, if you compare it to plants, diba, there are moments talaga na you have to shed or cut off some branches or leaves. And maybe nakakatakot yun kasi you're so attached to that particular branch. And maybe that's something that you really have to cut off. Like for example, yung Katipunan branch namin, we're so attached to it. It was our first baby. It was our first store. But we knew that that was something that we need to close down. And when you cut off a branch or a stem, it actually, sorry, plant thing na to ha, pero when you cut off a stem of a branch, it actually triggers the growth hormones of your plants and it sprouts other branches. And I think that's what happened to Common Room also during that time. It was so painful for us to cut off our first or to close our first shop, but closing that allowed us to have another branch, which is like our studio. It allowed us to be braver in front of the camera and opening our YouTube channel. So it was a painful detachment, but it forced us to grow in so many ways. So I think pivoting and the idea of growth, it's not just always blooming. Sometimes it can be messy and painful na you have to cut off or leave other stuff behind. Our fifth lesson is really understanding your peak season.
Oh my gosh, sobrang importante.
Alam naman natin na Pasko talaga is peak season, but actually there are a lot of different mini peak seasons during the year. And depending on your category or ano yung products na binibenta mo, malamang iba-iba rin yung peak season natin.
Sobrang importante niya talaga. Because it will actually dictate your entire business plan
For the next year.
for the year. For the next year. And katulad nga ng kwento ko kanina, know when to take the leap. I took the leap during
Ghost month pa.
Ghost month, which is August. So, ghost town talaga siya. And ghost talaga yung savings account ko noon at that time. Nag-take out pa kami ng loan just to help us weather that very challenging period in our life. So, parang zero ka na nga, nag-negative ka pa kasi nag-take out ka ng loan. So, if only I knew the best season was Christmas, then I could have taken the leap nung Christmas, nakapag-ipon
Sure,
pa ako
mga
ng
October,
konti.
November, ganyan.
I know, di ba ako wala pa kaming loan? If only I have like waited lang a little bit more because alam na namin yung season kung kailan andito na yung mga bazaars, busy na kami, makakapag-ipon na kami. Ayan. Sobrang importante niya talaga.
Especially if you're a small business na hindi naman unending yung capital mo, no? Parang you can plan ahead about not just the resources or the capital that you will invest, pero when ka bibili ng supplies, kasi nagkakaubusan din sa supplies, when ka maglo-launch ng collection mo, 'di ba? Hindi mo siya ilo-launch ng walang bumibili, 'di ba? Or maybe you can launch it a bit earlier para lang ma-test mo and see if the reception is good, para by the time na Pasko na, ang dami mong collection, 'di ba? You have your inventory. Pero it's important to know your peak season din para alam mo rin kung kailan ka raratrat tsaka kailan ka pwede magpahinga.
Yes.
'Di ba? Hindi naman parang all throughout the year like raratrat ka kasi mapapagod ka. But when you know na okay, burst season talaga, all hands on deck, marami tayong mga bazaars na sasalihan, you kind of can prepare properly when ka magbabakasyon, when ka magsi-steady, and when ka raratrat.
Yes, especially if you are a maker of handmade products, 'di ba? And hindi mo talaga kayang ratratin lahat ng bear season. The biggest season of the year only happens once. So, pag napaghandaan mo 'yon with the right collections that you launch early in the year, then you could get maybe your best seasons, best retail season, and that could help you save up for the incoming months na hindi na siya best season.
And it also helps manage din kasi your energy and your focus. Kasi diba as creatives, we're always like, sobrang nating daming ideas palagi. And sometimes, nauunahan lang tayo ng excitement and feeling. And all of a sudden, biglang you feel like, oh, pagod na ako, I'm burnt out. Kasi you're not being strategic on how and when you use your creative energy wisely. Kasi parang, you're just excited to make. Pero if you do it with that lens na ito talaga yung tina-target kong time na meron akong ilo-launch, it kinda helps you backtrack. Kailan ako magpapahinga, kailan ako maghahanap ng inspiration, kailan ako parang full work mode in developing my collection. It kinda helps you manage also your energy and your momentum for the year. Kasi hindi naman tayo robot, guys. Kahit magaling tayo with our hands, 'di ba? Parang there's really like a limit also on how much we can really create.
And also, ang topic natin is how to sustain your growth, right? How to sustain your business. Especially during the months na wala talagang pumapasok na pera. Paano ka pa mag-iisang buwan, wala kang benta or wala kang bazaar? Paano mo siya masasustain? If you were able to prepare for your biggest season last year, then maybe meron ka pang na-save up enough to help you weather the seasons na wala talagang pumapasok. And that savings will help you sustain the business until your next best season. So, kaya ganun ka-importante yung peak season. Kasi, if you're able to capitalize on that and take advantage of that, you will have enough save up for the rainy season na nangyayari.
Yeah, and as creatives din, we're not always wired kasi to be making all the time. Sometimes, kailangan din talaga natin magpahinga and kailangan natin parang soak in more inspiration. And that doesn't mean na you have to be making all the time. So, if you know when your peak seasons are, kaya mong i-sustain longer yung energy mo on not just for the year, but for the next few years ahead. And dun mo talaga masussustain yung business mo. And your energy as creatives. Okay, our 6th lesson is knowing your who and your why.
So, lagi nating naririnig yung you should know your why. 'Diba? Which is, yes, know your why. Sa amin, know your why and your who. Parang mas madaling maging rooted in your why if you know kung para kanino mo siya ginagawa. Kung may mukha yung why mo, baka mas makatulong, mas-sustain siya. Kasi hindi lang siya like a vague
vision.
A vague vision of a shared space for creatives. Alam mo yun, parang a shared space to thrive the creative scene. Parang, alam mo yun yung mga thrive. Diba? Like, it's a good why. It's a good why. It grounds your next plans, it's your next project, but it takes it up another notch if yung why mo may muka.
No, concretize kasi siya eh.
Oo, para kanino siya. So, hindi natin ma-accommodate lahat. Kasi tao lang tayo. 'Di ba? Pero meron tayong na-accommodate na tao, and that will help sustain the business and help us move forward when we feel stuck. Gagawin pa ba natin siya? Pagod na pagod ako. Pero at the end of the day, sino ba yung mga muka na kasama mo in this journey that will push you to, okay, one more day?
Yeah, and it actually helps parang refine also the questions that we ask ourselves. Like parang ano ba yung kailangan? Ano ba yung dun sa journey nung tao na yon, whether it's the makers or the shoppers or the craft enthusiasts that visit our shops, like how else can we help them? What are the things that they need? What are the experiences that they may be looking for? And how do those needs match up with what we can give them and what Common Room is all about? Parang it defines the things that we can do and the challenges that we can answer. Kasi alam mo na may tao kang kausap and may tao kang gustong tulungan or may problema siyang gusto mong solusyonan.
So, di ba yung why, it's like your image eh. Ito ka, ito yung goals mo, ito yung direction mo, ito yung vision mo for your business, etc. But again, sinasabi natin, ang tao nag-grow. So, if you see your why as a who na lumalaki at nagbabago at nag-shift yung needs, it means your brand is also alive. It needs to grow. It needs to evolve with the person that you're catering to. 'Di ba? Darating sa point na you feel like you're stuck. Ano pang pwede nating gawin? 'Di ba? It gives you another chapter. Cause, for example, yung eco-thrust ni Common Room. 'Di ba? As makers ourselves, we know na it's a challenge, it's a problem. We don't want to contribute to it. But having a small business and creating stuff is messy and really takes resources too. And that is our problem. And we know that it is also a challenge for other small businesses. So somehow, this Mess Studio is another chapter, not just for us, but for all of our makers, that there is a next step to how we make things. That it's okay to make and sustain yourself and your craft, but eventually, if you are able to sustain your craft and your business and you call it already a sustainable business, maybe the next chapter for you is to elevate the way you make things. You don't just make. You make more purposefully and more mindfully. And that is our hope for the Mess Studio. The fact that it is here and they always see reminders of mindful making and also books that expands their world to more than just making things. But making more mindfully and making within a community. Diba? Like parang yung mga books natin makikita mo, it's not just about creating things. Hindi lang siya about how to do a bracelet, how to do an accessory. It's about purpose-driven, ganyan. Or something about politics, ganyan. May ganun siya. Kasi when you make, you are not in your own bubble. You make within a community. And that making complements whatever it is that is happening in the community.
Yeah, hindi ka lang naman you don't exist in isolation. The things that you do affect other people, affect the community around you, or maybe yung ginawa mo inspires someone else. So, alam mo yun, parang, even if you say na it's an individual project, parang may ripple effect talaga siya. Unintentionally, kahit hindi naman yun yung purpose mo. It does have like a ripple effect. So, hindi talaga maaalis na as brands, especially if you stand for something, meron ka maapektuhan mga tao. And not just your shoppers, but maybe even your team, your staff, the people that you come across with sa mga bazaars nyo. Parang siyang, it's always alive. It's like an ecosystem of things.
And yun yung nakaka-excite, na kahit gaano katagal mo nasa business, and if you know your who, and that who is growing, and their needs are changing, you know that your brand can grow also, and it can evolve, and it will always have a next birthday, dahil yung mga taong tinutulungan mo will still have a next birthday. Parang ganyan.
Yeah.
And ikaw rin, as a business person, or the leader of your small brand, diba? You also grow, and your growth is also reflected in how you run the business, diba? Hindi mo naman, I know na it's important na mahiwalay mo yung sarili mo dun sa business mo, but as small business owners, may overlap pa rin yan eh, kasi kung ano yung importante sa'yo as a person, your values is also reflected in how you grow your business. And you as a person will grow also. Diba? So, mag-a-adjust siya. While you have a specific vision and a specific purpose, the how of achieving that will always be evolving because you will be evolving over time.
So, your why roots you. So, it helps you stay on course. And your who encourages and empowers you to open up more. And not maybe just to make you off course, but maybe widen the opportunities. Like, mag-a-add lang ako ng door. I'm not saying iiwan ko tong door na to, but maybe I'll just expand to more opportunities that we believe is still aligned to the why.
Tip number 7 is about leading with authenticity.
Sobrang importante talaga ng communication skills.
Yeah, and it's not, when you talk about authenticity, it's not just about latching on to what's relevant or trendy, diba? Parang it's really knowing who you are as a brand in a business. Ang hirap niya. I think even seasoned brands still grapple with this kasi parang it's identity, it's brand identity at its core.
Sobrang hirap niya. But again, katulad nga ng sinabi ni Anya sa isa nating episode, link here, na you can't manipulate authenticity. So, it is what it is. So, dapat hindi siya mahirap kung totoo siya. Diba? So, if you lead with authenticity and you are talking to people who are just as genuine to you as you are to them, then yun yung key to moving forward. Okay? Lalo na pag grabe yung challenges, babalik na naman tayo sa hardest period of our life. Babalik na naman po tayo sa year 2020. So at the time na sarado lahat ng store and you have an entire team whose livelihood depend on the stores, how will you tell them there is no work? How will you assist them? How will you support them? Because like you, na hindi mo na rin alam kung paano mo susuportahan yung pamilya mo, paano mo susuportahan yung iba. 'Di ba? And they could have left us. But when the world reopened post-pandemic, kumpleto sila. And the reason for that is they know that whatever assistance you could give to them at the time is the best assistance you could give to them at the time. They didn't feel that naiwan sila. They didn't feel na parang tinago mo lahat tapos iniwan mo sila sa ere. They didn't feel that because they know the situation. We were very transparent with them. And they felt that even though we can give them the 100% that we were able to give them when the stores were open, they accepted it knowing that it was the best that we can give for them.
And I think ang important din is that when you're transparent with your team, sometimes makikita mo na kahit sila, meron silang ideas also. And if they know na there's any way they can support you, they will. Maybe kahit mga little suggestions lang, little tweaks here and there sa mga process or yung pwedeng pasimplihan. Alam mo yun, if you're transparent, parang mas open din sila to be supportive in any way, in any capacity that they can.
And also, if you've been leading by example, like ako personally, I know that they know more about the store than me because they're here every day, okay, compared to me. So, I come to the store knowing that we are equals. I am their boss, yes, but I know that they know more than me when it comes to the store. So, if they have recommendations for the store, I am all ears because they know that I know na they're empowered to say those things because I accept it, because I know that they're here and they are the frontliners of the store.
I think as small businesses, parang it's easier for us to be more transparent also in our processes na big brands can't do. Kasi malamang papakita nila mga factory. Parang, like, why would that be interesting for anyone, di ba? Unless na lang sobrang, like, may story talaga dun. But I think the real insight why yung mga raw and parang very haphazardly shot videos or content resonate, it's because it's more relatable. People see themselves in those situations na, okay, I'm just in my room making, and that's something that's very easily relatable to other people, diba? More than it being a trend, I think it's easier to connect kasi when nakikita mo yung story or pinagdadaanan, which I think is also a superpower of small businesses kasi yung mga pinagdadaanan nyo day to day is something that's totoo siya. Like, you don't hide them and reserve your feed for the highlight reels. Like, people wanna see the real stories and the real struggles that you have. And I think just doing that makes you authentic.
Example lang, sobrang fresh na experience ko. So, parang I was trying to think of a launch for our new collection this year. So, inisip ko talaga siya, sobrang anong gagawin ko, ganyan. So, parang tumitingin ako ng mga templates, etc. of the best way to launch stuff, ganyan. So, parang gusto ko lang ng fresh ideas, ganyan. And then, while I was looking through my feed sa phone, kung anong nangyayari, sabi ko, ito yung meron ako eh. So, I will craft a social media plan based on what I have, not what I will make pa for social media. Diba? Parang magkaiba siya eh. Like, one is manipulating the content. Manipulating meaning, gagawa ko ng trendy na nahuhulog yung materials, tapos iba na siya. Yung mga ganon. So, nothing against those, ginagawa din namin siya. Pero, do not
Rely on those transitions.
yes, or do not set aside or deprioritize the videos that you already have and the photos that you already have, because that can be part of crafting that social media launch for your new collection. Ano yung meron ka na? And ipakita mo yon, and then just complement it with other plans that you think will help boost engagement for your launch. Wow! Parang 10 years na rin tayo dito sa episode na to, Ate Maan. What is our 8th?
Okay.
Eighth na ba?
Yes, our 8th lesson is knowing your worth and charging for it.
Oh my gosh, sobrang importante. Sobrang importante.
Yun lang. Sobrang importante ba?
Okay.
Yeah, I guess related din siya dun sa mga recent episode natin with Nels, no? Kasi, while we were talking about what's important to have or look for or understand in the contract, ang punot dulo ng conversation is, as an artist, you know your value. Kasi when you collaborate with brands or different communities or partners, meron kang binibring dun sa table na yon, and that is what you're charging for. More than the scope of work, of course, the technicalities, the scope of work, yung mga time and deliverables, those are important. But at the very core of it all, when you do engage with partnerships, dapat alam mo na may ambag ka and i-own mo yung value na yon when you do have those collaborations. And wag ka mahiya to charge it because like, as a maker, as an artist, ang dami mong dala-dalang kwento or stories and skills that can help them communicate also for their consumers or their shoppers. So, dapat don't overlook those things. Huwag kang mahiya to charge what your worth is. Yeah.
And to sustain your business, ang pinaka number one is hindi ka lugi.
Yes.
Diba? So, again, money is not evil. Hindi siya mali. Charge for your products.
Charge for your time.
For your time, for your effort, ganyan. Dahil kung lugi ka, definitely there will not be a next month or a next week. Kasi lugi ka. So, to sustain the business, you really have to earn from the business. So, if you're not earning from it, maybe you're not charging right, or maybe may kailangan ka pang matutunan to perfect the collection. But at the end of the day, you need to charge right so that you can sustain the business. So, kailangan namin sabihin kung gaano siya ka-importante. Kasi, for example, in common room, medyo prime yung mga locations natin, etc. So, we want our artists to know that they have to charge right for their products.
Yes.
And not compete in terms of prices. So, how much do you want to earn from your product? Here, in Common Room, there is a master list that helps you auto-compute what it will be in terms of SRP. Ano yung maging store price niya. So, ganun ang sistema sa Common Room. And sometimes, we hear that masyadong mahal. Ang mahal naman nito, wala nang bibili nito. Okay? Yun yung iniisip ng ibang makers na nag-hesitate. Okay? Kailangan natin ma-find yung balance na mapakita kung bakit ganito yung value ng product na to. And in Common Room, we do the best we can to put you in locations and in areas that gives you access to people who appreciate the value of your work. So you don't have to compete in terms of prices. But the reason why hindi natin pwedeng babaan yan, etc. or parang, sige, compete tayo in terms of price, pababaan natin ang pababaan, ganyan. Para lang mabili. Kasi hindi yun ang totoo. It's not the real cost of the product.
Yes.
Right? If it's not the real cost of the product and somehow you were able to sell it because somehow it was subsidized or it was supported by someone else, etc. because they were good enough, they were,
Free yung rent or something.
Diba? If they gave you all that padding so that you can sell that product at this price, what if that padding goes away? What if you are on your own? What if all of those operating expenses suddenly is now on you
and
alone?
your products.
Paano mo na siya mabibenta ng ganong presyo? Bigla ka na lang from, sabihin natin, 1,000 naging 6,000. 6,000 pala kasi dapat siya from the very beginning. Let's say, di ba? But you've been selling yourself short 1,000 all this year. So when you remove that padding, when you remove that support, if you weren't able to find a way to make your product sell at the right price, when you do it on your own, you won't be able to sustain it on your own because hindi mo na na figure out yung way to sell it at the right price at the time when you were supported and there was padding for you. Parang for us, sell at the right price. And if it's not selling, why is it not selling? Learn from it, change something, adapt from it, so that in the future, when you grow out of shared spaces like this, if you grow out of common room and you do it on your own, you know the real cost of operating the business because you've been doing it the right way ever since. And your community would know that this is really your price because this is how much it takes to launch this product. So when you do it on your own, you can pay for the overhead expenses and your community will still support you because at the very beginning, when you launch your product here, it was launched at the right price. And when they support you directly, they know that the price has always been that. So, I guess umabot si Common Room ng 10 years because we know the right prices for the products and our makers know that they can sell their products at this price. And we can rest knowing that our makers are being trained in a situation that is real. They're being trained for real life scenarios. So that in the event that they do leave us and they've outgrown Common Room and they find their own space and, fulfill bigger dreams for their small businesses, they know how to charge right because kailangan mo mag-charge right if you want to sustain your business. So I guess that's also how we were able to sustain Common Room because also going back to the previous tip, which is leading with authenticity, all of these are clear. We always tell our partners why prices are like this and they know also why it is like this.
So, okay, the ninth lesson that we want to share is focus on creating real value. Wow, big words, real value.
Connected yan sa 8, 'di ba? Paano ka makakapag-charge? You give value to customers and you communicate that value to your community of supporters. Because if you're not really giving anything new to them, mahihiya kang i-promote siya. Like, there's nothing new about this. Somehow, ikaw mismo, hindi mo ma-communicate. Bakit bibili sila ulit nito? 'Di ba? If you're creating value, then you can share that story better to others. Then you can charge right for that item. And you also give customers another reason to support you and buy from you. Again, they don't need another product, but they're supporting that story of that product.
Actually, lahat sila connected eh. Parang this is connected to knowing your value, being able to charge, and being authentic. Kasi I think if totoo ka, kung bakit mo ginagawa yun, totoo ka sa process or dun sa hardships of developing that product, and you communicate and share that properly, I think people will not just buy the product itself, but they will buy the process and the why of how and why you did it.
They can see why it's valuable, why it's of value, diba? And also, not just value of your existing products. When you create real value, it can also mean added value. Like, again, going back to doon na nag-e-evolve ka and nag-shift ka as a brand and you grow also. You don't just stick to one why. Maybe it could also evolve into another why. And that why gives added value to what you're offering to your customers. Clear example is, for example, the Mess Studio, diba? We're not just a retail store now. We have a community library. We also have a Mess Studio where people can make mindfully using donated trash from shoppers. So it's somehow added value, diba? It's not just showcasing the products of our makers, but also, scratching that itch or need or desire for people to have third spaces where they can just slow down, relax, and do something with their hands. And hopefully, when they do something with their hands, they do it more mindfully, diba? More intentional and more purposeful.
So, bakit importante parang focus on creating value?
It will sustain your business, right? Because it becomes a next chapter. That added value becomes chapter 11 for common room, for instance, because we have another thing that we can offer to customers that they also need, that they've been asking, diba? So, creating value for your business, adding value to your business, gives you a next chapter and a next step and a next plan.
Yeah, kasi for people who find that important also, they'll be looking to you to fill that need or to fill that experience na hinahanap din nila. Kasi kung importante yun para sa kanila, importante yun sa'yo, and you're actually offering that, then that's growing the community or the supporters that you have for your brand. Our 10th lesson is the idea that it's okay to stay small and to say no.
Parang counter, siya, diba? Sustaining growth, sustaining momentum,
Tapos
somehow,
biglang, staying small. Yeah.
and saying no. Because sustainability doesn't just mean growth. It can also be sustaining that feeling that what you're doing is meaningful for you and it still gives you joy, diba? You can define growth, sustainability, and success that way. Ikaw lang ang makakapag-define nun for you. And let's say this level where you are now is something that you feel like okay ka na dito, and that's okay. And bakit siya importante? Kasi if you constantly feel like kulang pa, ano pa yung susunod na gagawin?
Yeah.
Ano pa ba?
Parang lagi kang may nahabol. Meron kang tinitake off na next goal, next task, next milestone.
Nakakapagod siya?
Yeah.
And nakakapagod, that feeling, that exhaustion, can be a make or break for the business also. So, it's important to know when to say no and when to, just savor this moment and this period in your business to really feel na we did this.
Yep. Yeah. And totoo yung sinabi mo kanina na you define the idea of growth. Kasi I think ang connotation ng growth is always expansion. Like, bigger stores, more stores, bigger team, bigger collection. Pero what if growth is really, for you, growth can be mastery. Diba? Parang, you can focus on just few pieces, but you do it intentionally na sobrang na-perfect mo na siya. And for you, that can be growth. Maybe growth looks like creating systems in your team para mas efficient kayo gumawa and hindi pagod yung tao mo. Maybe growth is about, fine-tuning your skills and expanding your skill sets as a maker or, diba? Parang growth can mean so many things. It's not just about the next big thing, big task, big collection na i-release mo. And I think that's important. Kaya important na balikan mo yung why mo and your idea of success kasi that's what yun yung mag-define kung anong kind of growth yung hahanapin mo for a business. So I guess sa atin ba, ano ba yung growth na yun?
Sa common room, hindi naman tayo mabilis mag-expand. We're 10 years now, diba? So, parang 5 stores. Even if we do have a lot of offers, hindi naman natin tinatalon lahat ng offers.
Yes, totoo yan. Kung alam nyo lang, maraming nag-offer sa amin ng iba-ibang malls, iba-ibang location. But we really had to say no.
We had to be more mindful dun sa oo-ohan namin na opportunities because again, it's not just us, it's also the community of makers with us. Handa na ba sila sa growth na to? Kami mismo, kaya ba namin yung ganong klaseng expansion na mapapabayaan namin siya. Yung ganon. So, we're very mindful that way. And also, sustaining your business, and your business is very rooted also sa'yo. Siyempre, as a leader, di ba? So, nandun ka rin sa eksena ng growth of your business. Hindi mo siya mahihiwalay, right? So, when you're trying to sustain your business, but the people behind it are empty, diba? Ubus na. Then maybe the chance of sustaining the growth of your business, parang baka mas mawalan siya ng chance. Kasi ubus na yung tao sa likod ng business na yon. So maybe sustaining your business could also mean filling your cup in other ways. It can be checking your health, self-care, or filling your time with your family. Feeling like hindi mo diniprive yung sarili mo of your personal joys for the business. Diba?
Kasi investing back on yourself.
Yes.
Like learning or taking more training or something, diba?
Kasi at the end of the day, what would you do with a very big business if you're not happy?
Kung
Diba?
pagod ka.
So it's okay to stay small and say no if you feel that you've done enough for now, for this period, for this phase, and you need to sustain and fill up your other cups that gives you joy, then I guess that is also success, and that is also growth. Kasi whatever you give yourself, it goes back to your business.
Totoo yan. I think it really depends on the kind of growth that you are looking for and paano mo siya ma-accomplish. Kasi, di ba, there's nothing wrong in putting a target and say, by end of year, dapat maka-launch ako ng 2 branches. That's fine. That's really okay. If that is the kind of milestone that you are hitting, if you are capable, if you have the team to do it, diba? Go for it. I think, we're all for that. Okay lang yun. I guess it's just really important for you as a maker, lalo na kung matagal ka na sa business and you feel like, ano ba yung next step? Parang, you really need to understand ano yung itsura ng growth na hinahanap mo. Para you're not comparing yourself with other brands, yung mga nakasabayan mo na ng bazaars before, sila kasi may studio na sila, ako, ito pa lang. Di ba, parang ganun eh. Parang you kind of have to know ano yung growth na hinahanap mo para alam mo yung next steps na kailangan mong i-take.
10 tips for our 10 years. Hopefully, these tips will help you also in your journey of making your small businesses sustainable. And not just sustainable in terms of, just growing and growing, but sustainability in the sense that having a business that remains to be meaningful for you and a business that gives you joy. Kasi when you started, ito naman yung reason for doing something. You want to feel empowered, you want to feel like you can contribute something, and you want to feel like you have power over your time. So that hopefully, kung ano yung ginagawa mo will bring you joy. So yun yung sustainability for us. Hopefully, the tips will help you in your own journey of finding that definition of success and sustainability for you.
I think for a lot of makers, especially kung matagal na rin sa business, there's always the feeling of yung pressure na, okay, what's next? And it's so easy to be bogged down by that pressure and just staying there and yung feeling na dapat may gawin kang malaki or bago. I guess a big thing about sustainability is still enjoying it and finding moments of playfulness in what you do. I think the more you play, the more you open up opportunities for your brand to grow. So I know that ang hirap niya i-balance kasi you're building your business, you're keeping it growing or moving for your team, and there's always that feeling that you have to expand. But I think from how we sustained common room, there's still always an element of play. Like parang, sige, try lang natin, paglalaroan lang natin. Maybe it will flop, maybe it will work, but there's still a sense of childlike wonder and excitement. What if we try this? What if we try this? Maybe that will open up new avenues for you to grow also in your brand. So here's to more years of playing together and experimenting. And sana that's how you also find your idea of growth.
Thank you for the 10 years. Thank you for supporting us.
Yes.
Kayo ang aming who. Thank you and happy anniversary
Happy
to all of us.
anniversary!
Bye.